Introducing your perennial hosts, David Bates and Josh Carey.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's Saturday morning. It's time for Gardening Inside Out, coming to you alive here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And David Bates, 27 years ago, on the first Saturday of February, this program began. You realize that?
It was actually tomorrow is the actual anniversary.
Yes, but it was the first Saturday of February. Amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't the first time we broadcast together, but it was the first time we did it as a duo. And remarkably enough, still doing it after all these years. So,
good or bad?
Happy anniversary, Josh.
Happy anniversary.
Glad to be alongside after all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone to Gardening Inside Out. We're going to talk quickly about the weather and get the show underway. We got a lot going on right now. Talk about the weather. Josh, it's going to be 50 degrees and cloudy today, but that's a good sign because the conditions are improving.
It's beautiful out there, David, and it's going to be a fall spring.
Yes, 66, 47 tomorrow, partly cloudy conditions. Monday, check it out, 73 degrees and sunshine. Pretty awesome. Really nice still on Tuesday, 65, 55, partly cloudy conditions.
Yes, but it's going to be sunny. It's going to be nice.
Yeah.
Sunny on Monday.
Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to have a little of that Friday. It looks like the partly cloudy conditions return as we look at the big board across the U.S. And we'll see there's not a whole lot of active precip in the continental U.S. or really anywhere in our part of the world. This week, however, we have gotten some rain. We've gotten 1.55 inches of rain this week, which gets us up to 3.1 for the year here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. So we are clicking along and adding to the precipitation total. So we're really in good shape. The current temperature, 43.5 degrees, which means it's pretty nice for a beginning of February 1st, 2025. Hard to believe it's happened this quickly.
Yes, it has. Now, you might want to talk directly into your microphone. You're sounding a little...
I'm a little off mic.
A little low.
Get a little closer. There we go. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is that better?
We're getting some echo, awesome audio issues. We're trying new software, so on David, he's getting an echo right now, so we're working on that. Thanks for being patient with us here this morning.
Good. It's all good. It's all good. David, who is across the table from us?
Well, thankfully we have a great expert alongside today. And today we're really happy to be joined, as always, Caroline Gant. And Ben Crest is joining us today for a special edition. And welcome in, guys. We're glad to have you in today. We've got a blank camera there.
Good morning. There we are. Hi.
There they go.
This broadcast is keeping us on our toes this morning. We're all wide awake.
Why would this one be different than any other?
That is true, David. You are right.
That is the way it goes.
Who else do we have in the room?
We got Tyler Blankenship, who's I'm sure scurrying with dials and controls and levers. We did have a technical trip up.
Ben set off an E&P right before we came on the air.
I'm not sure how that contributed to it, but there's probably some contribution there. But welcome in all, and Ben, glad to have you aboard today. It's been a while since you've been on the show with us.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's I think we're all getting ready for spring. Feels like we've been on ice for a little while, so it's nice to talk about garden stuff.
Certainly going to feel like the next few days. That is so certain.
Well, and it's not spring, folks.
No, it's not. You can't think it is.
Nope. No.
The plants might think it is. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But I plan on Monday when it's going to be nice and warm, planting all of the stuff that I have sitting on my driveway.
And we are working on that this weekend at the proving grounds.
Is it the pool stuff that you're working on, or just other planting
We don't want to talk about the pool.
Okay. Touchy subject.
But I have to move the my the ones that I put in the wrong spot last year. Well, goodness gracious.
Your eclipse hydrangeas?
Yeah, my hydrangeas. I have to move those tomorrow. I've got some stuff that I need to get in the ground too. Got a gardenia in the basement that's...
Are you going to plant it this week?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Get them in. Get them going.
I don't know. It might be a little cold for that one.
The
Hydrangeas
gardenia?
Might be okay.
Or gardenias, yeah. They're just a little marginal here, so it might be shocked going from the warm to cold.
Okay, good idea.
Would be a thought of mine. I don't know. I might wait until springtime when we're not going to get any more hard freezes.
Okay.
Because it's so cozy in the basement right now.
It's glorious down there. It's got all the supplemental light that it could need.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not too...
How cold is it?
In the basement?
60?
Closer to 50, probably 54, 55. And I don't have a temperature gauge.
It might be warmer outside.
It will be.
Yeah, it will be, but then it won't be. It's the thing.
Yeah.
Will be, and then it won't be. But yeah, I have probably about 40 plants. I don't think I'm going to get to
gardenia?
all of them.
I meant camellia.
Oh, you did say gardenia, or maybe I just heard gardenia.
No, I think I said gardenia.
Camellia.
That's what I heard.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not crazy. Thank you, David.
I mean, similar boat. You might be
That is
close.
not a certification that you're not crazy. You heard.
That is very true. I have 5 camellias to plant.
You have a level of insanity to be able to do this program every Saturday morning. So we thank everyone for coming in. My assumption, Caroline, is that we have got questions out there from our many viewers of the program. Am I correct?
Oh, yes, we do. So let's go ahead and dive into them. We've got quite a few today. All right, the first one, I really enjoy this question. What projects are you all doing in your gardens right now?
We hit a little bit of that, but personally, like I said, it will be an ongoing saga through the year of 2025 about the replacement of the pool and what goes out there. But that project starts tomorrow too, but we're not in any way, shape, or fashion ready for plants yet.
I thought we weren't going to talk about that, Josh.
Well, people wanted to know.
That's true. They do want to know what your plans
It's a good
are
time
right
to
now.
start thinking.
Well, we've been thinking,
Or at least
okay. Now, I
get through
think
with thinking.
what I think and what the project manager thinks are two completely different things. So I'm sure we'll be doing what she wants. So it's okay. But the first thing is that the 30-foot above ground pool is got to go away, and the deck is probably.
You already had that one out of the way, Josh.
Well, we were delayed because there was a certain, sometimes when you just can't let something go, David. We have to think it to absolute death before we absolutely accept reality.
Otherwise it'll die an unnatural death.
Yes, and that if we wait any longer, we could run a chance. It could be mosquitoes and tadpoles growing in the.
Oh, that's bad. I had an above ground pool and I hated
timing
it.
is- yeah.
Mine was 30 foot across, but I told you what I did. It made a very nice patio.
Yes,
I
did
put
the
a lot of
same.
flat rocks that I pulled from my property into the
Yes.
sand, have a fire pit in the
Yeah.
middle, and a garden all
I mean,
around it.
nowadays, like pickleball court, probably be the more
Oh,
popular alternative.
there you
for a place
go.
on top of a pool.
No. No. We were talking about a shuffleboard or bocce ball.
Ooh.
That bocce came out, so I don't know if it's big enough to do a bocce court, though. I think they
Be
have to
nice and compact.
Be a small one, a miniature one. That'd be fine.
Aren't they? Don't they have to be 120, 100 feet?
No idea. I've never played
Pretty
before.
long. Yeah. Pretty long. Yeah.
But bocce would work, and the older you get, that's probably more in my speed than pickleball.
I also have never played that.
Uh-huh.
But I have a lot of projects I'm working on, like planting all of the things on my driveway for one, but also I'm really working on cleaning up my vegetable and herb garden beds. I've built a few new raised beds out of some cedar planks. Now I just have to sink them in the ground and fill them with earth mix. So
Yeah. I've been setting out things that are due to be planted, and now's a good time for me because everything's so, died back, and you get a nice clean view of everything, and kind of setting stuff out, and maybe thinking about creating new beds. That's where the work goes in, is going from grass to bed. But
I actually sowed red clover over my
Did
above
you?
ground. What do I do with it? Do I just let it die back? Do I just till it in? Do I pull it up? I mean,
is it on a lawn?
no, it's in a
in
raised
your
bed.
bed. Tyler does
You do?
cover crops. He
Cover
did
crop?
red clover one year. I haven't done it before.
There's a difference. There's crimson clover and then red clover.
Well, there were okay. Well, I bought the seeds
Well, that's
here,
confusing.
so yeah. No, I think it's red clover. I believe is what I got.
Red clover, from what I understand, is a warm season cover crop, and then crimson clover is the one you sow in fall and let it overwinter.
It's doing great.
So you might have gotten crimson clover if it was here. Because we usually sell our seeds seasonally.
Mm-hmm.
I've done crimson clover mainly.
Just let it bloom and then till it in? Sorry, David?
Still have a good chance getting the legumes in there that are fixated nitrogen, so you're going to get benefit out of either one you get.
But I mean, do you just let it bloom and then till it in?
That's right.
Okay.
I think some people even just cut it down, bush hog it, and let it sit. But I think tilling you get a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you dig some of those up and you'll see the nodules on the roots. The little nitrogen fixing nodules. That's always neat to see.
Ooh, dig it up and see. Take a picture. Bring it in.
We will.
Show and tell.
We will.
We love a good show and tell. While we're talking about that show and tell, just a little reminder for those of you who are maybe newer viewers or forgot the email. If you ever have photos of things that you're proud of in your garden beds or any problems that you want to send to us so we can take a look at it and show it on the show, gardeninginsideout@gmail.com is the email address to send that to. If you don't want us to show it on the show, but you want some feedback, you can also just put that in your email like this is for your eyes only.
Yes.
So if you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to be actually on the broadcast, we will still answer your questions via email, DMs, wherever you want to get a hold of us. But
how about we ask for some bright, shiny faces? Because all we see is names. Again,
we want headshots from all of our viewers, is what you're saying?
Yes. Send them in so we know who's. Now, see, I don't have the advantage of working here at the nursery during the week and seeing all the good customers that come out here. So let's get some headshots in there too.
We'd love to see all the headshots that you all have.
Take a selfie with a plant.
Although we could look at their profiles on Facebook if they are
could,
following
but that's
us
kind of like stalking. So I don't.
I guess you're right. All right, so go ahead and also send your headshots on in to gardeninginsideout@gmail.com. But let's go ahead and get to another question. We've got one about native seeds. Is there anywhere I can get milkweed and native seeds from, even for free, for my garden? I will tell you that last week, was it Pam? Was it Joyce? Was talking about getting rid of her, was it milkweed? I've just said was it so many times. So you could get with her and go dig some up if you want some free plants.
TDOT had a program last year. I think they were giving seeds.
They were giving away milkweed as well.
Yeah. Sometimes there's local seed shares. Yeah. I know we carry Roundstone here at Bates, which is in Kentucky, I believe.
It's,
fairly close
fairly
enough
local.
to local. And they're a big native seed distributor. So.
Yeah, they've got a really good website where you can go and search like specifically your area, if it's wet or dry, full sun shade, what kind of habitat you're looking to create. So check them out, Roundstone Seed. I'm actually about to order some bulk seed to create a little wildflower field in the back of my property. Yeah, so they're great.
Yeah.
We're about to get more seeds in from them here. I'm very excited. They should be here any day.
It can be pretty easy. You may not end up with a full prairie in 1 year, but it's worth a shot.
It might take about 3 or so, but yeah.
It's pretty satisfying when you get a good patch.
A lot of seed shopping goes on this time of year because people we're in February now, so people are thinking about, when can I start doing these kinds of projects, and getting seedlings started. So it's a good time to be, in the pre-planting stages soon to arrive.
Oh, I'm itching for spring. You can feel it, like we were talking about with the warm weather. Like it's right there.
I need to start sorting my seeds. I've got packets everywhere. I need to start deciding.
That's how you know you're a true gardener. Yeah. Seed packets all over your house. That's me. I just keep finding them anytime I clean out a dresser or a hutch.
How old is this
everywhere.
One? Yes, I understand. Yeah.
A lot of times I'll just then go scatter them just to see if they're really, really old because they might come up. Who knows what the germination rate is going to be on those.
Generally, you lose about 10% germination per year beyond the expiration date. So it doesn't mean they're bad, but if they're a few years old, maybe only 60% germination as opposed to 90%. So it's still worth taking time to put those out and see what happens.
All right, I believe I was talking with you about this yesterday, and Tyler, I guess it'd be the day before, but when can I lay pre-emergent for crabgrass in Nashville? Is it too soon to do it now?
You can't do it until the 1st of February by state law. So
well, what's today?
Yeah, it's 1st February.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. I mean, usually it usually has like 3 months of effectiveness. So
we usually, back in the day when we talked quite a bit about lawn care, it was February for a first pre-emerge, and then later in the season, David always was a fan of having a second application of it. So
it's really hard to time it just right for one application.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this would be next week would be great.
Results out of, you need to be thinking in terms of two, because a single one, it just doesn't quite cover it. You don't get enough coverage. So go ahead, if you want full coverage, do it right now. If you want to try to make one application do as well as it can do, then I would wait a couple of weeks and then apply it. That way you're hitting the biggest chunk of the growing season. But many of your grassy weeds don't germinate until it gets a bit warmer. So you're likely going to have more incidents of things like barnyard grass that are at the tail end of the grassy weed season as opposed to the early things. Crabgrass you probably are going to get pretty decent control on.
Right.
Crabgrass.
None of it works well in the bag, though. So
you got to get out there at 3:30 and get to work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So back around to like our seed talk that we just had. Pam chimed in and said, "I have bulbs everywhere," and then says, "Will be planting soon."
Yep.
I also still have quite a few tulip and daffodil bulbs that I don't have in the ground just yet that I need to be getting in there. And yes, Pam said, "I will give you some milkweed." So I will actually connect those two viewers, listeners, to make sure y'all can get those milkweed out and, dug up. So, Pam, you won't have to do any work, and someone will get those for free.
You might end up with some sort of special variety if they're open pollinated. Who knows? You might discover a new milkweed.
Oh, that would be cool. I love milkweed. I have it everywhere. Yeah. All right. Will you explain which applications you'd use Earth Mix Garden for and which for landscape? I use landscape for I like to use it in containers. I talk about that a lot. And I also will amend my soil with it. Now I use garden for my raised beds or like big plantings in ground that I need to really fill a lot of space and bulk it up with.
Yeah, and I mean, you get a lot more garden, for the same cost. I mean, landscape, I think, is a little more... It's a little more directed towards a certain use, but I think they can both be used for similar things.
I don't get real worried if I don't have any garden and I happen to have landscape.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. So, but
the only thing, I just wouldn't use garden in my containers, in my pots.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But for like shrubs, longer term plants,
there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more aggregate in the landscape. Is that right, David? Yeah, I believe so.
Well, what you've got in landscape, there is no soil in it.
Right.
And the problem with containers and using garden in an actual container that has drainage holes in the bottom of it is that they can become stopped up as soil begins to settle out of the mix. So it's probably a good idea if you were thinking on using that, you want to put some kind of a soil barrier fabric down with gravel or some aggregate underneath that to filter it out, or use something that has decidedly less amount of soil in the product mix. So landscape is one that is used as a premium soil amendment, and it's excellent for that. But we have also found that it's quite good as a container mix on its own. Organic soil is another choice in there, and it's kind of a happy medium in between garden and landscape. It has some soil, but only about half as much as garden does. So there's a lot of different choices out there for Earth Mix uses. And while we're at it, I guess we should just segue directly into what he's done. We're already in the midst of it, and of course, Earth Mix Garden Products is one of the reasons why we're here every Saturday. Talk about that and help you have success in your gardening. And the whole premise behind Earth Mix is, one, the ability to provide a 100% organic growing media for gardeners, and also something that will give gardeners a mix and a variety of mixes for different applications that will give them the absolute best use. When you combine that with organics, what you get is the absolute best line of soils that are available anywhere in the marketplace. You can go to the products tab that's right here on the earthmix.net page, and it'll give you a complete rundown about each of those products. We just touched on a few of them, and the whole EarthMix story is there. If you want to find EarthMix, click on that Find EarthMix tab, and what it's going to do is take you to a big map. You see a whole lot on the right-hand side of the screen there, and then you see just one over here, Victory Gardens over in Meridian, Idaho. Soon there will be a second one out west in Crested Butte, Colorado, coming up here in the next few weeks. But there's many locations all over Tennessee and Kentucky. There's even have a location over in western North Carolina and northern Alabama. Rudy's down there. So check all of those out. You can put your address in the box here for turn-by-turn directions for a location nearest you. Remember, this success in gardening begins at the ground level. You use EarthMix garden products. They're especially blended for gardeners who want professional results but don't want to have to necessarily be the greenest of thumbs. You know, we take the work out of it. What do you like to say, Josh?
It takes 4 things: EarthMix, sunshine, water, and plants. You got success every single time.
Check it out online at earthmix.net. We appreciate you giving us a minute to talk about that and help take the work and add to the success of your gardening efforts.
I'm about to get at least 1 full truckload, probably 2 of garden to fill my new raised beds. And I need to bulk up some of my existing in-ground beds. So I'm very excited about that. It will be time soon. You know, I got
that time of year to be getting excited about it.
You're very right. I mean, I don't want to be doing it in spring when it's starting to warm up, and then I need to get stuff in the ground, and I'm having to frantically do everything at the same time.
Get all sweaty and dirty.
Yeah, we don't need that. That's going to be later on. So I want to take my time getting into everything, and
you want to enjoy the flowers in the spring too.
I want to enjoy the flower. Yes, if you get your hard labor done now, when you can do it, then you get your seeds sown, you get your starts in the ground. Yeah. Then you can just walk around and enjoy those flowers instead of being like, oh my gosh, I still have to do so many things.
Right.
But speaking of flowers, we got a fantastic question in from Joyce. Joyce says, have any of you winter sowed poppy seeds? I've been watching videos about sowing them in the snow. Yes, I grow poppies. I sow them in the winter. I don't know if I've ever actually sowed them in the snow, but that does make sense. If you've seen poppy seeds before, which I'm sure most of you have, they're tiny. So they really just need to be scattered on the top of the ground and then really, really pressed in. I love all the poppies. I have a lot of different varieties, and they actually start coming up early winter. The leaves start coming up. So I have my poppies are up right now. Obviously, they're not blooming. They will be blooming like mid-spring. But yeah, I'd say, Joyce, get you some seeds and go for it. You missed the snow. We might get some more, but who is that?
That's me.
Josh.
I'm sorry.
There's a little fairy in the room, Josh.
It's the watch.
Continue, please.
Tyler, we're continuing. That's just the noise of excitement about poppies. But Joyce, come here, see me, and get you some seeds.
Absolutely. Now, good luck. I have tried and tried and have never had any success with them. It's one of my favorite flowers.
Now, did you grow them from seed or did you grow them from starts? From starts, they can be really, really tricky. I've tried them from starts, and I don't actually know if I've had them take. They flowered a little bit more and then petered off in the summer because they don't like a lot of that. And well, it depends on the type of poppy you have.
Right.
But once we get really, really hot here, they kind of...
I find they do okay in shade, or at least, high shade, like
really?
under tall trees. Might protect them a little bit in the summer.
But mine are in full sun. Maybe we need to have an in-depth conversation about this.
Possibly,
Josh.
Because now if you see them in the wild in, say, Sicily, or Tuscany, there's nothing like a beautiful field
of poppies. I have good luck with California poppies. Those are the ones that I sow. I sow those closer to spring, but my Oriental poppies are the ones that are perennial here that I started from seed. I did scatter those in the winter, and I think this is the 4th year that I've had them. And I mean, all I did was scatter them, water them in, really press them in. So once we got more rain, those seeds did not wash away, and they took. They're in full sun, close to my house, so they get a lot of heat from the house. But
Okay.
But yeah, they're fantastic. This next question is a good question for Ben. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Ready.
Ben, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Which ornamental grass would go best in a narrow, rocky area by a pool deck? No, bringing back the pool.
Yeah, I mean, we're surrounded by switchgrass, which
We are.
is usually our go-to for narrow. Now, it can be underestimated how wide they can get. I mean, they can get 4 or 5, maybe more wide in a clump, but they tend to stand up, so you can keep them. Also, miscanthus, maiden grass, is a real popular one, but those tend to be fairly round. So switchgrass would probably be my primary choice. Now, you could do some oddball things like blue stem, which don't get as wide, and those will kind of have a nice little vertical pop on them. Pampas grass, but those things turn into monsters.
Yeah, and they also
I'd
will
be
cut
careful.
you if
Yeah, they
you
will
walk by them
absolutely
too
eat you
close. They
alive,
reach out
yes.
and they're like, I find, and I know Austin talks about this all the time, the Northwind switchgrass. I have that, and it just seems to be way more upright and cleaner than some of the other types of switchgrass.
And keeping it clean. If you're around a pool and say you've got nice rock mulch, keeping that clump clean keeps them a little more upright. If you start getting weeds in there, they'll kind of open up a little bit.
They pop a lot of seeds, though. A lot of
You
seeds.
looked at that one right there.
Because I mean, seeds, pool. You keep in mind, you're gonna have to get them out of the pool at some point in time too. So I mean, I love it around.
That
the
is
pool.
true. I feel like though they stay on pretty well. Like even in heavy
Or
winds.
you could cut them back maybe early.
Right.
Before we get into winter, make sure you cut them back before those seeds start
Look
going.
how gorgeous they are
Yes,
in the
they
winter.
are beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the winter interest. I've talked about this all the time for.
And the ploofy
For our
ones,
grasses.
yes, in particular.
Yeah, I do have pampas grass planted out kind of in my yard away from where I'm going to walk, and that one also
good
looks good in the
barrier.
winter.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Oh, they get huge. I made the mistake when one of my older homes that I lived in, I planted one on either side of my sidewalk right at the street, and they looked great for the first season. They got so big year 2 that you couldn't walk up the stairs and down the sidewalk. I would just have to go around to get into my house.
Or you get eaten alive.
Because you'd be walking through a curtain of pampas grass and you would get, eaten alive. You'd get all
Put
cut
your
up.
chaps on before you go out the door.
Yeah, I would have chaps to go.
My back door neighbor, you know when it's time when he's cutting it back because you hear this string of bad words coming from across the fence. So it's always, he runs them in paragraphs during that period of time. So
I say switchgrass.
Okay, switchgrass.
Yeah, switchgrass. I feel like my vote would be switchgrass as well. You
I choose
said
door number 1.
blue stem.
Yeah.
Blue stem is also great, but I feel like it does have it's a little heavier with the seed pods.
And you hate a grass
that's right.
with an attitude, don't you, David?
Ooh,
Definitely.
that's a yes.
I don't know how well my mic is broadcasting today, but yes.
You're
I
fine.
do, good.
Well,
I've just tried to, my mic tends to make me want to talk over others, so I apologize for that. With this delay, so I'll be cautious about my comments.
I feel like there's no need to be cautious about comments. We tend to talk over each other from time to time. It makes it more fun.
There's just no way for me to fix David's echo, which is a literal real echo right now. So apologize to everybody. I'm doing my best over here.
We'd
Tyler
have to
is
kill
doing
it. We'd have to go off the air and then come back on the air, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah,
so.
y'all don't want to miss our shining faces. At least you can see all of us clearly. And that's what's the most important. You can see all these beautiful faces early in the morning. Hey, Joyce did comment, I heard that poppies don't transplant well. Yes, I fully agree with that. Like I was talking about with poppy starts, I just haven't had good luck with starting them in the ground from starts as opposed to seeds.
Yeah.
So
Don't let my bad luck dissuade you guys from giving it a try either. Folks.
I mean, one seed packet is like $3.
Yeah.
You know, you can get one, you can get a few, scatter them, and then see what happens. But I would say now is the time to go ahead and do it if you want to do it, Joyce. So get out here and get you some seeds. Yep. All right. I think it's time for a little segment that I know Ben has been preparing for,
Yes, he
at least in
has.
his mind.
Like I said, the goat.
Oh,
The
wow.
goat.
You even hit the jazz pose with that music cue.
Yeah.
The goat. I'm ready to take over and put my 2 cents in on the
Oh my
goat.
gosh, what's it going to be?
Has he done viburnum yet?
I don't think so.
I just have to say it, and I'm not going to get specific, but viburnum is typically just generally a large shrub, huge genus of plants. And so there's a lot of viburnums out there for you, and the reason it's the goat is there are a ton of different forms, a lot of different bloom shapes. There are evergreen ones, non-evergreen ones, and almost all of them are pretty rugged, and the range on them is I mean, should be as far north as Canada, if not into Canada, and then we get them pretty far south as well. So a good, really tough shrub, viburnum. I tell people to look into it. You could buy a book on viburnum if you really want to dive in, but there's a lot of them, and you can fit them in almost any garden. Especially, mainly they're used as a large kind of border plant or like a loose screen plant, big for habitat, wildlife. So just viburnum species in general, there's just a ton to find out there, and really rugged.
Sorry. Joyce had a comment that I'll read after you're done with your segment. It got me a little tickled. But what would your favorite viburnum be? I mean, there's so many different kinds out there. I have a few. I've got popcorn. I love that one. It's got these little cluster blooms in the spring. And then I always want to call it Burlmarxii because that's a houseplant name, and Austin always corrects me, but now I can't remember what the name is.
Birkwood?
Birkwood.
Yeah, so Birkwood viburnum, which is a hybrid, it's really high on my list for the fragrance. I mean, the fragrance is just show-stopping. And I don't like all fragrances, but that's just the right mix of sweet and perfumey. Some of them aren't fragrant, but I really do like those. I love the Shasta daisies, which I believe popcorn's a Shasta daisy.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of have nice flat blooms, good substitutes for hydrangea. If you're
over hydrangea.
If you've gone through the gamut of hydrangea and you're getting sick of them because you have so many of viburnum's a nice kind of step that gives you a similar bloom season, pace, but a totally different texture. Right. Yeah. So they're awesome. There's native viburnums, a ton of those actually, if you're trying to reestablish habitat. So awesome place for you to dive in. You can go real deep, kind of like Japanese maples or, any of those plants where there's just a ton of options. You can really kind of go wild. And, I have to hold myself back.
You do. I see your face when those viburnums
A lot of deer-resistant plants, which is great for me. It means I don't have to worry about them.
Viburnum is very deer-resistant?
A lot of them are, yeah.
Really?
They're so stemmy and so vigorous that it's not really something they have a palate for.
Yeah, and my...
I got a couple of points I might add in there while we're on it. Two, Viburnum opulus, better known as old-fashioned snowball. It is a deciduous type of viburnum. Another one, for personal reasons, viburnum Davidii, which is not hardy. It's not reliable.
Oh, they're beautiful, though.
You can't use that one here, but it's a beautiful plant. You might sneak it by for a few years if you gave it some protection.
But then you might lose it. That would be sad.
But I mean, English, Japanese style, there's a ton of different ways you can go with them. So it's a good tool to have in your palette, I think, if you're looking for some new paintbrushes of plants to throw in there.
It's a great one. And my, now I forgot the name again.
Popcorn?
Birkwood.
Why can't I remember that one? The fall color on that one specifically, because like I said, I have a few and they don't really throw that much fall color. I mean, they'll have a little bit, but this one had like bright yellows, reds, and orange.
Some of them
and
get
it's
that
still
kind of
holding on
red.
to its leaves. So I'm a big fan. I also have that one planted in fairly heavy shade. I mean, it gets dappled sun throughout the day, but it really doesn't get that much direct
really
sunlight, and I still get blooms. It loves it,
Yeah,
and
so
I love it, and I love
It'll
that
make
talked
you
about
feel like you have a
viburnum.
green thumb, so that's why I always recommend
So
them.
get you some viburnum. All right, the comment that got me a little tickled. This is part of our software update that we are using today for the first time. Joyce said, "OMG, Tyler used my headshot." Bringing it back around and talking about sending us headshots, but now we can put your comments up, and that will include your profile picture. So, Joyce, amazing headshot. I love it. You should be proud of it. And then she's asking, do you guys ever sell Ralston's hardy viburnum? I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I am not too familiar with that one. Like I said, there's a ton of them out there.
Raulston. I haven't heard of that one. We'll go on to our next question. I can actually check our inventory while y'all are answering that. All right.
I have never carried that one.
I've never heard of it. I have an arborvitae that has grown too large. Can I cut it back? If so, when?
Did they tell you what type or anything?
No, it just says I have an arborvitae.
I'm always a little reluctant to cut arborvitae hard because they don't always rejuvenate in the way that we expect them to. So I usually really keep it below 15% cutting on those. I try not to do the cut in half kind of things.
Right.
Doesn't work too well for arborvitae. So
you certainly can't cut it back beyond where there's still green foliage on it. If you do that, it might not kill it, but it might take it 3 years to ever come back out. So unless it's just completely overgrown the spot and you don't really care, you'd rather take a chance, But even at that, I would not cut it back beyond where there's green growth still on there. And if you're going to do that, now is a great time to do it. Simply because this is when it's going to have the minimum amount of time of looking really stubby looking as a result of this more severe pruning. And the first flush of growth, which is really going to give you that chance for it to recover. Now, if it's a globe type, it grows about as wide as it does tall. Most of the arborvitaes that you see are more upright in nature. So, like as Ben was mentioning, without that knowledge, it's hard to know specifically. But the same guidelines still hold true. You don't want to cut it back beyond where there's green growth on there. Otherwise, it's probably never going to grow back out and look satisfactory.
All right, Gina, we can't repeat all of that, and we can't repeat everything David talks. Do we want to take a break and come back, David? Do we want to?
Either I could just be quiet.
Or you could be quiet.
Well, we don't.
That would be a little sad. I mean, we are at the halfway mark,
Okay,
so now would be the
past
time to do it
halfway.
if we wanted to.
Okay.
I guess that's a Tyler call.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, so if everybody can just stand by, I'm going to mute our audio. I'm going to leave the stream up, and I'm going to put a graphic up, okay?
Okay, everybody go like this.
And then whenever we get back to resuming, I'm going to start a countdown.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, everybody.
Testing. Can you hear?
Okay, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, David, try again. Whoa, I'm seeing that. David, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think maybe your audio is coming through, but now we can't hear you. So
What did I, I'm texting you.
can you all hear David's audio just now?
Get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
All it says is
It's good.
Yeah.
Not repeating.
That's
anymore.
probably it.
okay.
I can hear
Well,
you guys.
Seems like they can hear him.
We
Tyler's having quite a day. Yes, Joyce is.
yeah, we
Doing
won't
great.
we won't be able to kind of. So I'll just keep an ear out, okay?
Okay.
So let's try.
I love this. Here we go.
You just repeat whatever David's saying.
I know, right?
Yeah, everyone can hear David on on the stream. We just
That's-
can't. Is that us? Are we back?
Are we back?
Are we
I
back?
think we're back.
We made it back. Thank you guys for all of your
Thanks for hanging in
comments,
there.
helping us out.
Yes.
Yeah, hanging in there. We did get a question. I love Caroline's coffee cup. Where did she get it? Let's go ahead and bring it up. I got this for Christmas from my parents. I love it. It's a little terracotta pot as a coffee mug.
It
So,
fooled me this morning. I thought you were using a terracotta pot out
Yeah.
of
I'm like, I ran out of things. I'm just holding the hole in the bottom.
Well, thank you for your patience, folks. Yes. We do appreciate it. So it's a live program, so we have to deal with these issues once in a while. So, but Caroline, what is going on in this room today?
There is a lot, but I think we might be ready
What's
for
in room with Caroline.
I guess we're ready for me then. Here we go. So I kind of like the layout. I told Tyler when I brought it in, I was like, it's kind of a harvest theme today. Yes. Yeah. So in the corners, we've got blue Atlas cedar. Gorgeous, wonderful. I have one at my home that's really showing off right now against everything that's dormant. It really, really pops and looks fantastic. And then next to that, like we talked about earlier, we have brought in a lot of different types of switchgrass. So these are going to be Prairie Winds Cheyenne Sky that we have in these corners. So they're very upright. I was going to say the hairs. The grass actually curls a little bit more than like my Northwind switchgrass, which stays more upright. So you can see that. And it's behind me. It's behind David. And I just love how this looks in the winter. I almost like it better in the winter, this color and the way it like blows in the breeze. And then under the TV, we've got Little Henry Sweet Spire. So I'm going to put my hand here. Maybe I'll bring one up. Hold, please. Oh. Look at that. So I would say there's a lot of winter interest on this plant as well. You've got green and you've got red. And this is still holding some leaves. I know, Ben, you like this plant.
They are in the yard right now, about the same.
Ben's a fan. Am I right? You like this plant.
Well, and they're just real vigorous. I mean, look, the stems are green and red. I mean, they have a lot of vitality to them, even in the winter.
Cool.
So
they're going to keep on going strong. And then in front of us, we have even more switchgrass. So this is going to be Purple Tears on either side, and then Cheyenne Spirit switchgrass in the middle that we can't see right now, but you've seen them on the white. Oh, there they are. Yes. We're just all about grasses today. And in front, we got some Carrickson. We have a lot of this in stock here at the nursery. This is Moon Falls. So it looks almost like hair. If you had a head planter, this would do really well in it. It's very, very curly. I'm going to pick this one up so you can see how it kind of trails off the pot. Wow. It looks very much like an air plant, like Chlorophytum to me. And then I had to bring in some Heucherella. So this is Hopscotch Fun and Games right here. It's got a little orangey red color, smaller leaves than you would see on just like regular Heuchera.
I think there's a butterscotch Heuchera.
So there is. This is from the same the same like line from Proven Winners that they have released. And then our feature plant today, we had to bring in some hellebore. Y'all, hellebore is starting to show off. Right. I know we got an email from Pam Eldridge that we will put up a little bit later in the broadcast of some hellebore that is blooming, but this is Merlin. So she is about to be full. 3, 2, 1. Wow. There's that bloom on that Lazy Susan. She's spinning around. She's looking fantastic. I mean, there's nothing else that's blooming right now that I can think of. But hellebore, they're starting to come up. Mine aren't up just yet. Mine are always a little bit later, but I am waiting for the day that I see those blooms peeking out and opening up.
They are so cool in the middle of the wintertime. Folks, I tell you, you ought to get some hellebore.
You have some.
I have the highway to hellebore. Yes, I do. I do have the highway to hellebore. So.
Yes, you do. I love hellebore. I mean, they're slow growing. So if you want like a huge grove of them, you do have to purchase
they get better
quite
every
a
year,
lot.
though. Every year they get better and better and better.
Yeah.
Well, and again, we've talked about my daughter's patch of hellebore. It's 15 feet, 20 feet across.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely stunning. So it's just gorgeous. So,
Yeah. I love it. All right. Hey, David. Are we ready for a little place where you might be able to find hellebore?
Well, you would go to Bates Nursery and Garden Center, which is at 3810 Whites Creek Pike. That's 0.9 miles north of Briley Parkway at exit 19. And you come in here and you're going to see stuff, folks. It's going to be, this is the summer view. Today it looks a little bare, but that's only because everything is on the inside of the Batestrium and out into the facility there. You can walk through at your leisure. You've got music playing. You've got helpful people willing to show you all kinds of stuff around. And they've got it here, folks. I mean, if you want to look for the unusual, do you want to have a beautiful blue Atlas cedar? Do you want to have liriope with I think they have both varieties here. They have the attractant and the deterrent monkey grass. So, I mean, I think you can get it all here if you want to. Soon you're going to start seeing all kinds of seeds. You've got pottery. Folks, this is...
So much pottery.
Yeah. Folks, for a gardening person, it is your place to come and visit. And, you know...
By the way, we're able to hear David. We just can't hear him ourselves. So
he asked me to read these.
Oh, okay.
He asked me to go along.
10-4.
I didn't want to be
talking
talking over
things
anyone.
going on. And again, you come out here, you're going to get treated like a king or queen. And folks, the kids and the staff that are around here are just amazing. They know what they're doing. They're very helpful. You can tell that they enjoy their job and they want to help you have success in your yard. Hey, it's been going on for 93 years.
Wow.
That's a long time to be in business as an independent business of any type. So come out to 3810 Whites Creek Pike and Bates Nursery and Garden Center and see why they've been in business for 93 years. Be sure to subscribe to David's newsletter. Comes out on Thursday afternoon. It's always a good read. They don't sell your information around there, and you can get the first hints on specials that come up during the weekends through the years through the Bates Rewards and Center and stuff like that. Folks, come to Bates. I drive all the way from Smyrna. I do it every Saturday morning anyway, but I would drive from Smyrna to come out here because it is worth the drive from anywhere. And thank you for giving us a minute or two to talk about it.
And thank you,
place.
Josh.
Come shopping.
Certainly appreciate it.
It truly is a great place.
It's magical.
Yeah. And you can tell, like you said, by the happy employees. All we want to do is talk about plants, so we're in the right place. And put out pots. Y'all, so much pottery right now.
Talk about dirt, too. If you want to talk about soil, we got you.
Okay. And gardening tools. I mean, we could talk about everything. But yeah, I love it when a customer comes in and we can just talk about plants. Hey, Carol has a question on YouTube. Is now a good time to prune baptismal all the way to the ground? Maybe means baptisia.
Yeah, I would
be my guess. Mine, I did bring it all the way to the ground a couple weeks ago. I didn't have to cut it. I just basically knocked over everything that was up and it fell down.
I'm a forgetful gardener, so whenever I prune back, I don't prune to the ground because I want to remember where they are. Because I'm real bad about doubling up and planting something where something was underground.
I resemble that. Yes.
It looks better than a yellow flag in the ground, but
yeah.
I'll leave a couple inches just so I trip over it.
Just so you know. I mean, with baptisia, I have forgotten where I planted it. I have a lot of different varieties, and I'll have to get in there with my hands in the dirt, and then you'll see all those really healthy eyes coming up, and then I'm like, okay, that's where it is. And then I like to count how many more I have coming up this year compared to last year and the year before.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. I love that plant. It is fantastic. All right. We've got a live question in on Facebook. Can you prune hellebore? We had a lot of ours laid down over the summer with the heat. Not sure if it will recover.
That's my daughter, and she's talking about her hellebore patch.
Oh.
Okay, so
I just pruned one to the ground. Yeah, I mean, it didn't have a great year last year, so it's not even trying to bloom, and everything's to the ground, and it was better to just cut it back. Had plenty of life so that it can kind of have a good year.
As long as it's those older leaves from the year before. Now, I have a lot of new growth pushing up, newer leaves, and those buds that are just starting. So the stuff that's laying down the larger, older leaves, yes. Yeah. But just make sure you're not cutting any of the new growth.
This time of year or wait until the summer?
You can do it now.
You can do it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just if it's got buds, you're
don't cut the flowers off.
Don't cut the flowers off.
Don't cut the flowers off. You'd be so sad. I mean, it would bounce back, but it would be a little bit unfortunate. Okay. We have comments, Tyler, that you rock.
You rock.
Thanks, y'all.
I wish we had a behind the scenes Tyler cam that was just
it's just going to be me looking like
the
really
entire time, just going real fast.
I'm just going to be looking really stoic and really zoned in.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
It's
he wears
amazing
a cape
what he
back
could
there.
do.
It's
he's got a cape.
This new program is going to be really good. It's just I got to work out some of the kinks.
Yeah. I would have had a heart attack years ago if I tried to do what Tyler's doing.
Oh, too many things going on all at once.
Incredible. And then he chimes in and gives gardening advice. It's insane. But let's talk about hydrangea. Tell me how to prune a limelight hydrangea. Planted my first one this spring, and I'm assuming it's time.
I mean, if it's a limelight and it gets big, I'm actually a big fan of cutting off almost all the growth that you have every year. I mean, just cutting off, if you had 2 feet of growth, I'll cut all of that off. maybe back to the same place every year, maybe even just a little bit further, just to get it past those old cuts.
Yeah, I feel like
they will
Limelight
bloom.
is one of those ones that you can cut anywhere, and it will.
Some people will just cut the blooms off.
Right. Now,
my blooms are up.
And there's different rules for different kinds of hydrangeas, folks.
Correct,
so
Josh,
be
you're
careful. Limelight is what we're making that recommendation.
They're the
Yes.
most forgiving, so it's hard to
Yes.
give a bad answer for pruning on those.
Yeah, Limelights you can do anytime. Hey, speaking of that, I know Austin has a video talking about
Yes.
the different types of Limelights, how to prune them and when to prune them, and that's going to be on our Bates Botanical Boot Camp series that you can find on YouTube. You can go to the Bates Nursery website, scroll down to find that link, but someone in this room does have another webinar coming up very soon. Who could it be? I don't know. I think it's Ben.
It's
Ben,
this guy.
What are you doing?
I was talking about, or I am going to be talking about, I was in the future talking about edible natives, just because I've had a lot of requests and we've had a lot of people all through the winter planting fruit trees and plants for next year. And then with the increased demand for planting natives, there's a lot of overlap there. And it's definitely a small category of readily available edible natives. And then there's a whole lot of medicinal plants, which is kind of its whole other category. So we'll kind of touch on a lot of that because we've had a lot of people just passionate about how to mix their edible gardening and their native habitat garden and how to find that.
Well, if you can get fruit off of an ornamental, why not, folks? I mean, come on. I mean, blueberries are gorgeous in the fall. I mean, what are you going to talk about? Pawpaws?
Talk about pawpaws. I mean, that's
not a particularly gorgeous tree.
It's not a gorgeous tree, but it's got an allure, I think, for
It
people
does,
who know about it. And the same with persimmon, but I think more people have had a persimmon than a pawpaw.
They're actually very stately when they're big. I love the persimmon.
Persimmon. I've got a persimmon. I got a ton of fruit last year, and I found pawpaws in my woods.
In a landscape application, like I had one in a yard at home that we did, and if it hadn't been for the corgi dog eating all of this stuff around the base of the tree, they are a little messy. Okay, and so you just got to keep it in mind. But it's a beautiful tree when it's growing.
Yeah. And a lot of those we don't get grafted onto like these dwarf root stocks like we do with more common things like apples. So you're dealing with a larger landscape tree. So just knowing how to use that.
It's very soft wood. It doesn't. Like a hackberry drops all the twigs. It didn't have that problem with it, so it's got a beautiful bark on it. So it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you get some fruit.
Yeah,
so
I'm excited. There's a lot of, and I've kind of been, catching the ear of folks down in the greenhouse that might know more about, with edible perennials and stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff, but there's a lot of stuff you can just pick right off the tree. So it's nice to know what you have around you and what you can add.
It's going to be a great webinar. So
excited.
Make sure you check that out. You can register for it. You can tune in live. You can ask questions during the webinar, just like how we broadcast this, but you can also watch it at a later date, just like all of our other Bates Botanical Boot Camp webinars. They are all available for later viewing, and we have so many of them. But let's get to some more questions.
Okay.
Are there any veggies or herbs that I can plant in late winter or early spring?
Plant them?
Yeah,
I mean,
so basically cooler weather vegetables and herbs. I mean, you could definitely do sage.
You're probably looking at
lettuces, radishes.
Yeah, you're
Radishes.
probably looking at later in the month, though, I would think, for a lot of those.
So more like early spring is what you're saying?
But all the cool season stuff. Here in Tennessee, it's do you get it in past the heat in the summer, or do you get it in before the heat in the spring?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
it's all about timing for us. Although some of these things come up quick. I mean, my Old Faithful leeks come up fast.
Oh, you
now
love
they take a
your
long
leeks.
time to establish, and they'll grow through the warm season. But they'll germinate in cooler weather, and I believe a lot of our greens will germinate in cooler weather. Your kales and lettuce and stuff like that. Cilantro has a really short window here in Tennessee.
Yes.
So get that in early.
Yeah.
We don't have starts yet, but we'll probably start getting things here in end of February, March, as far as maybe some veggies. And
They do okay from
might.
seed, too.
yeah.
Cilantro does.
When we start getting those, that's a good sign that seeding is probably a few weeks prior to when we start getting the actual starts. So,
Yeah. And we base our arrivals off of the weather, so we don't have a set date to get it in. A lot of people are asking, when are those going to come in? But we don't want to bring stuff in too early. So if we're going to get this huge winter storm or a big freeze, our beautifully wonderful buyer, Julie, knows when to bring them in. Love her.
We
Shout
try
out
not to hand y'all
Happy
a
late
problem
birthday, Julie.
without
it was
a
just
season
your
plant.
birthday the other day.
Happy birthday.
day. All right, let's talk about pollinator garden beds.
Okay.
Someone says, I want to create a pollinator garden bed. Any tips? So like I was talking about with roundstone seeds, this is something that I am going to be tackling in spring. I've already started kind of prepping that area. What I'm going to do is just kind of lightly till the soil. I'm not going to get crazy. I'm not going to remove the grass that's already there. I'll just till it in just a little bit to the top like inch. And then my plan is to spread seed, really pack it in, water it, put some straw down. And I'm just letting this go crazy. My goal with this is, for one, to have kind of a wildflower looking field, but also a habitat for all of our pollinators and little creatures. So once I have it going, my hope is just to let it do what it wants to do. I'm going to leave it up through the winter. I'm going to let all of those seed heads stay up. There'll be, structures for things that are overwintering for our pollinators. But yeah, I would say just like I talked about with Roundstone, how they have a great website where you can go on and you can specifically say what area you're looking for that. Or you can come in here, talk to us, get some seeds and get some perennial starts. But just kind of choose what you want. Maybe don't go too big, but make sure you have the ground prepped. You've got your area prepped. We're coming up on it, so we want to have our little plan already in action, and you can drop those starts in the ground or sow those seeds.
I think prep is a big
go
part.
Wild.
Competition with weeds and stuff can be tough for natives. So, trying to...
They're hard to differentiate when they're young, too. What is a weed and what is
it?
So that's...
Well, we got a lot of stuff that'll come in on your flower plot, so a lot of people will solarize or put something down to kill off weeds.
I do that a lot. Black plastic, I'll lay it down just to kill all that grass and then kind of till that up. Yeah. But I've definitely been the person who has pulled up things I planted because I thought they were a weed. And I did that for 2 years with Mexican sunflowers. I would plant them and then I'd be like, they didn't come up. I had all these crazy weeds in the bed, and it took year 3 before I was like,
these weeds are everywhere.
This blooms later than everything else. And I had just for 2 years been pulling it out of the ground. So yeah, remember what you plant. It can get confusing sometimes, but
absolutely.
I also have a webinar on wildflower gardening, so you could check that out on Bates Botanical Bootcamp. I show some examples of my garden beds that I've created, and I just go in depth for about an hour talking about that.
Joyce wants a BNBBC on weeds.
Oh,
not a bad idea.
That's a good idea.
That could be arranged.
That could be that. That could happen.
That could definitely be done.
All righty. Any more questions?
Oh, yeah, we have more. Are we going over a little bit? I guess I didn't quite know.
We're going to have an expanded edition of the Gardening Inside Out.
Maybe like 5 minutes or so.
All right.
Can't have a half an hour, Colin. Sorry.
That's true.
Okay.
Okay. Landscaping around my new home. Is now a good time to plant trees and shrubs, or should I wait for warmer weather?
It's a great time to plant. We have a lot of stuff out here at Bates Nursery, especially evergreens.
Plants, yes.
Yeah, especially foundation plants, evergreens. Usually the bigger stuff is what we're really going to keep around, have a good stock of in the winter. So, and that's what I would start with, stuff around your house or bigger trees. Those are good things.
Perimeter plants, maybe. Now,
perimeter plants.
Where are you in construction? Are you completely done with construction? That would be a question that I would ask, because contractors and trucks and things are not kind to your landscape folks. So
you want to let the dust settle on trucks and machines and make sure your roof, make sure the shingles are on before
they start throwing them around. Yes, the sheetrrock, the mess that comes with it. This thing's going. Don't forget your lawn too, folks.
And often we do talk about how don't go too crazy very quickly. Don't try to get all of those things in the ground at the same time. Yep. You don't have to get your trees, shrubs, perennials, and annuals in at one time. Like you could do this over a year. There's some stuff that will be better planted now than later.
And if you're in construction, and if you got your selection agent at your new home, if you're spending the kind of money that you're spending on your new home, talk to the selection agent. Don't just take the silver maple as the default. Let them get some input as to what it is that they're putting in.
It looks fine if they don't know, but if you do know, it kind of puts a little
right. I mean, just get some negotiation, because the guys don't care. I mean, they're doing a much better job in new home construction with the landscaping than it was even 25 years ago, because it was 2 Nandinas and a silver maple for years and years. So
and maybe some hollies thrown in.
No, the hollies were expensive. They're not going to do that.
Really?
Nah, man.
Gosh, you see so many all around that are big and giant.
Maybe a barberry. If you got a custom builder, you got barberries. So,
All right, our final question of the morning. Can I repot my houseplants in the winter? I need a plant project. Yes, you can repot them. I usually tell people to wait until the spring or summer to do it. Days are longer, it's warmer outside, and even if your plant stays inside year round, they still know the seasons. They still sense it. A lot of my plants in my home that I keep in there year round aren't really growing this time of year. So I let them, I say dormant, but I don't mean like die back all the way to the ground. I let them rest, and then come springtime is when I start looking at my plants, cleaning my plants, and thinking about repotting them and which ones I need to do. Now, if you're going crazy for a project, I mean, now is a good time to be cleaning those plants up, wiping your leaves down. They've been inside for quite a while if you did have them outside and you brought them in September. So they've probably accumulated some dust in your home. So you can go ahead, take that microfiber towel, moisten it a little bit, and wipe off those leaves. That also gives you time to inspect for any problems that might present themselves, mostly pests. So I would say go ahead and do that. Maybe wait for a little bit longer before you decide to repot, but you can do it now. I've done it. It's not detrimental to your plant. Hopefully, I mean, we always run the risk of losing something when we do these repots, but if you want to do it now, it should be okay.
Got one more snuck in here on us, though, before we get out of here. Jill wants to know, can she prune back hard burning bushes now? I would think it would be perfect time
go for
to do
it.
Yeah.
Maybe use a sharp knife, but other than that, go for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I guess we've expanded edition of the Gardening Inside Out program is coming to a close. We do appreciate your patience and participation. Hey, if you see us out there on any of the social media sites, like, shared, folks on Twitch, hey, we need to start getting some input from you too. But YouTube viewers, Facebook users, hey, we appreciate it, and we'll see you right here next Saturday morning for another Gardening Inside Out from Bates Nursery and Garden Center.